Welcome. Today we are going to explore some drills for strengthening up the low back. So in my under 30s section of the On Demand, you'll find a sequence all around releasing low back tension or discomfort. And today we're kind of flipping it over and having a look at how we actually strengthen up the low back and the pelvis. So have a yoga block to hand. If you don't have a yoga block, a book would work really well. And then come over onto hands and knees. Set yourself up in tabletop position. Wrist creases under the shoulders, knees under the hips. Press down firmly through the tops of the shins, through the heel of the hands. And we'll just start our practice today in cat-cow. Starting with the tailbone, let the tailbone lift up. Navel drops to the floor. And now begin to let the ribs lift. Sink between the shoulder blades, retraction, draw up through collarbones and gaze. Keep the gaze lifted as you draw the tailbone down and under, low back, middle back rounds. Find protraction of the shoulder blades and then draw the chin to chest. Start with the tailbone, lift it up. Start to ripple through the spine, retraction, shoulder blades, collarbones lift, gaze lift. Tailbone draws under. Try and articulate through each vertebrae of the spine. So go nice and slow so that you can notice where your areas of difficulty are. So using this more as a process of mobilization rather than that sort of gentle way we sometimes move through this pose just to wake the body up. Last inhale round. And then release. Good. Grab your block. And bring your block lengthways onto your sacrum. So just below where you feel the natural curve in your spine. Come back to nice engaged tabletop position. Tuck the right toes under, lengthen that leg back. Try and keep the block level as you raise that foot off of the ground. Could you keep the block there and lengthen left arm? Lengthen the arm and leg away from each other. Breathe. Now as you come back down, try and minimize the movement of that block as you slowly lower down. Good. It's quite a challenge if you go slow. So start to lighten up through the right hand. So push into left hand. Lengthen left knee, right arm. Good. Try and keep that block from moving. So this side, much more challenging for me to keep that block level. How does it feel for you guys? As we touch down, minimal movement of block. Take a breath. Bring the back of your right hand down, draw the forearm towards you, and then repeat on the opposite side. Good. Okay, bring the arms a good distance ahead of your shoulders here. Tuck the toes under. Is it possible for you to find downward facing dog here with the block trying to lift the hips up and back? How much of a downward facing dog can you manage before you potentially lose the block? Have a little play. Maybe you could begin to straighten one leg and then maybe the other. And then maybe you could start to work to push the hips back. If you've lost the block, have another go. Begin to bend one knee, two knees, both knees coming down to the mat. Sit your hips back. Find your child's pose. How far back can you go before you lose the block? And then rest in your child's pose. So if, like me, your block has left the body, that's fine. Just pop it to one side and come back to tabletop position. Last little bit of strength work here in our 4-point. And you can do as many rounds as you want through these different sequences. You could take a lot longer, or you could keep it short and sweet like we are together today. Tuck the toes under. You'll be a little longer than your classic 4-point position here. Really drive the balls of the feet under. We're going to lift the knees just off of the mat. Now, this is quite solid work, and see where you go. But we're going to start to shift the weight into the left hand. Try and lift the right hand off with as minimal movement through the pelvis as possible. Both knees equal to the floor. Right hand lowers, press into right hand, left hand lifts, lowers. Right hand lifts, left knee lifts, or left foot rather, lower. Minimal movement through the body. Right foot, left hand, lower. Release. Sit back. Release out through the wrists. Bring the hands down. Tuck the toes under. Push back. Downward facing dog. Roll forwards to your plank and lower to the mat. Knees or not, your choice. Bring your forearms down onto the floor. You can let your head rest on your forearms, bend the knees and just rock the knees side to side. Release the legs. Bring the hands next to the shoulders. Find your posterior pelvic tilt here, tailbone tucking under. Tops of feet really active into the mat. Lift the hands up in line with shoulders. Creep the ribs off of the floor. Look forwards and down. Squeeze elbows in and back for 5, 4, 3, strong feet, 2, 1. Hands land, they stay light. Forehead down, legs lift up. Stretch through the inner ankles for 5, 4, posterior pelvic tilt for 2, 1. Release the legs. Lift the upper body. Creep up. Active legs for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Release. Light hands. Legs lift for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Last round. Release the legs. Lift the upper body for 5, 4. Strong feet. 2, 1. Down. Legs lift for 5, 4, 3. Posterior pelvic tilt. 1. Release. Stack the forearms. Bend the knees and rock them side to side. Good. Let the legs come back down. Bring the hands next to your shoulders. Re-establish that posterior pelvic tilt here and really focus on maintaining that. Curl the body up and off of the floor. Bring the hands up as high as the shoulders. Bring them forwards, palms facing each other. Strong feet as you exhale. Squeeze the elbows down, lift up. For 4, and 3 and 2. This is a hold for 5, 4, lift, 2, 1, release. Bring one cheek onto the mat, turn your heels in, toes out, hands can come down by your side. All right, go ahead and grab your block. And you're going to bring your block between your hands so that the fingertips aren't gripping. So you're just pressing into the edges of the block with the palms of the hand. It's going this way round. And then lengthen your arms in front of you. Find your posterior pelvic tilt here. Activate through feet all the way up to quadriceps. As you inhale, try and lift that block as high as you can, looking forwards and down. Lift it up, hold it here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, release. Bend the feet towards you, bring the block behind you and slot that block in between the ankles. Relax the legs down. Bring your hands either by the shoulders, slightly easier, or all the way out in front of you. I'm going to go with hands next to my shoulders today. We're going to lift the legs up as high as we can, squeeze into that block, lift up through the ribs, squeeze the elbows either back and down or arms forwards, holding here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Keep that block between the ankles. Stack your forearms, bring your head down. Good. We're going to bolt on one last little movement. And again, you can do as many repetitions of these as you want to start feeling you're building that strength. Bend the legs in towards you. Squeeze that block. Hands next to the shoulders, lift the ribs as high as you can. Find your posterior pelvic tilt. Arms reach forwards. As you exhale, squeeze the elbows back and down. For 4, 3, 2. This is a hold. Squeeze those elbows in. Lift the ankles up. Lift the thighs up. And release. Release the block. Stack the forearms. Bring the knees up. And rock the feet side to side. Release the legs. Push back to child's pose. Knees together. Back might feel a little tight here after that work. We've really done some good strengthening postures today. Let's rise up into kneeling. Finish with a twist just to ease out from that practice. Raise the arms up. Exhale, twist towards one thigh. Front arm coming across. Back arm could wrap. Lift up. Twist. Lift up. Release. And we'll finish here in kneeling. Bringing the hands onto the thighs. Close the eyes down if they're not already. You might like to find a little posterior pelvic tilt if that feels Good in the back. And know that with this strengthening work, it's okay to just gradually build up. In fact, it's better. You wouldn't go into the gym and suddenly lift your own body weight in weights in a deadlift. You'd go in and gradually increase the weight. And bring the hands together. And thank you for your practice today. Namaste.